Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, as we are getting ready for the next event to start, the Valentines one, with the Mihono Bourbon and Asian Flash Valentines dropping tomorrow. We also are going to be having a story event coming alongside it. So I thought while live right now, we go ahead and take a look at it and kind of talk about what we can kind of expect going into this event. Now this is one that has the free SSR and it has a lot of potential, but it's really going to depend on whether or not we get updates early. The biggest thing being the second anniversary update. If we get that early, this support card could have a lot of value compared to the value it had when it came out for JP. And that is going to be the Speed Tosen Jordan card, if I can find it here. I might be blind. Where the heck is it? There it is. Let's go to it from here. And so Tosen Jordan speed card, at first glance, when you kind of look at it, it's not all that crazy good as a speed card, which is true. But it has some training effectiveness up here at the top, the frequency of hints, but it does have at least 5% race bonus, which is decent enough. And with this training effectiveness in that, it's got 10%. It has speed bonus, has a little bit of power. Nothing too crazy in the stat stick. What actually will make it good, potentially, is right here, Breath of Fresh Air. And we already know right now, currently, that Breath of Fresh Air is not all that good because it's a gamble in terms of it might activate too early in the race, or it might activate very late in the race. And thus, you completely lose what you're going to get out of it if it activates like on the last straight when you need it to actually be able to survive and have your spurt. But with the second anniversary, and right now we are currently on the Japanese server here, so it's going to give us how Breath of Fresh Air works now. With the second anniversary update, a new condition is added that happens in phase 1, or basically the mid race. So it is guaranteed to activate in the mid race on a straight. So you're not going to activate it too early, you're not going to activate it too late, and it basically just becomes another kind of variation similar to Swinging Maestro, but this you can actually acquire from a speed card versus having to use a stamina card. So I feel like this one will be pretty good for maybe the mediums in Make a New Track. Maybe not the long, because you're still probably going to want to bring those stamina cards because you're going to want to get that 1200 stamina because it's a 3200. But it has a lot of potential, especially for free-to-plays, as it's a free-to-play card. If you don't have Super Creek, you can just slap this in there with your other speed card, whatever the other one might be, whether it's Fuku, NTR, or even Kita-san Black, although with Kita-san Black, you're really hurting on race bonus. But can work very well to kind of cover you there. Now, when you look at the other stuff here, you can even see it has medium straightaways, medium corners, pace tracer straightaways. So also really decent on just the stats or the skills here for mediums going into that as well. But realistically, other than that, if we don't get the buff, if we don't get second anniversary early, then to me, this card just kind of falls off. Then you're still going to want to get like Super Creek or one of the other ones that's going to be more consistent in activating in the mid race. So it's just something to note. Just make sure to don't miss this, just in case we get that early. And it might not be just this case. You potentially could have value in the future if we get it early, maybe for Grand Live. Although with Grand Live, I feel like we're going to have a lot more options at that point anyway. So if we don't get it early, this card kind of does die. But that is the card we'll be getting. And then when it comes to the rest of the stuff in the event, it's basically what we've seen before. So we have that. But I say but multiple times here. We will be getting, when we get the first one here, you should be hitting now, if you've been getting all of your rainbow crystal shards, the 20th one, so that you can now make another one to add a limit break to your, to any support card of your choice. And so a lot of people in chat here where we're discussing what you would want to kind of use this on if you have a need to use it at this point. And one of the things I have found with the Rainbow Crystal is if you don't have to use it, don't use it, is the biggest thing. Because you can use it on any support card, versus when the anniversary comes, you will be able to get the selector, which will then allow you to add limit breaks or add or pull any card that came out before the new year. And the main support cards that you've probably heard about wanting to try and add limit breaks to, the first one was Tosen Black, of course. If you don't have her MLB, she might be that choice. Now she will fall off a little bit in making new tracks. Still very good because she has Professor of Curvature. You're just gonna have to work around her having a little bit lower race bonus. If you have her at like Limit Break 3, it can be really good to get that special priority to potentially, but just know you have the selectors too. So if you add on the selector, then you can go from Limit Break 2. If you're willing to spend any money, you can do it all the way from Limit Break 1. So that does give you some options there. Personally, I would not use the crystal at this point on Tosen Black. I would kind of just move on and make work do with what other cards you have at that point. The other options you have are Super Creek. But with Super Creek, she is only going to be really necessary for, and like I said, this is if we don't even get that buff. Like if we get that buff to straightaway recovery and breath of fresh air, she'll fall off a little bit, in my opinion, going into the medium. So she'll be only her strongest on the long champions meeting, which is the very first one. And the biggest thing you're losing out on, if you need to get that one extra one, is 15 friendship and 2% race bonus. And like I said, these rainbow shards are very valuable for support cards, and I don't think it's going to be worth it at that point for Super Creek as well. And kind of the same thing with the other card that you probably heard a lot about is Fine Emotion. We actually have her coming here soon, and I've been using her at Limit Break 3 like forever, since I've had Limit Break 3 for quite a while. And there's not much of a difference other than your mood effect goes up pretty big. Of course, you go from that the extra 2% on the race bonus, and everything else goes up a tiny amount as well. Like, yes, you're going to use her a lot, but you have the selectors, so realistically, you're looking at trying to MLB her from Limit Break 1 if you're going in that direction. But then again, you can already do that with the selectors, and Limit Break 3 might be enough to make it work. And I would personally rather try and hold on to the rainbow crystals. And my opinion on that, it comes down to some of the stronger double banners that'll come in the future. One example being Light Hello and Agnes Tachyon Speed has a lot of potential there. If you get really unlucky on one and not the other, you can always use the crystal to upgrade it there. Although that one I would say is not really a good one either. But you have the PAL card alongside Alcondra Pasta Speed in the future. I can't think of all of them top of my head, but the ones that have two really good cards on them, there's a few of them that come out in the future. And when you pull on them, you could always have unbalanced luck. And so you might get a lot of copies of the one support card, but not a lot of copies of the other. And then you can use the crystals to kind of solve for that unbalancing problem between the two very strong cards. So that way you don't end up MLBing one, but then you have to keep pulling for the other support card. This is especially true if you're like a whale. I know for free-to-plays, you might be a little bit more needy of them now. But I think you can get away without using them at this point. That's my opinion on it. You're going to probably hear the advice for a lot of people to just go ahead and MLB that Fine Motion. If you have it at like Limit Break 1 or 2, just use the free support and then use the crystal. I think that works fine. I mean, she's going to be very strong for quite a while. You have Major Romanu, who will be her replacement, and she might be a good one to save him up for as well, because you have the PAL card coming 2 banners later. So you can just pull, get a copy of her, hopefully maybe get lucky, get another 2 on her, and then just dump 2 or 3 crystals to MLB her. And that way you can continue the save. So I think we have so many big things that'll be coming up in the future that you really want to hold on to them. And I'll be making another video on this, kind of talking about future banners again, because we're getting closer to the end of the month, and I try and do that about once a month. And I'll probably try and discuss the Rainbow Shard or Crystal in that one a little bit as well when we kind of cover it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I thought I'd just go over the upcoming Valentine's event real quick right before it comes out, because It should be coming out in the time that I'll post this video. It's probably going to be coming out in like 10 hours. So just be ready for that. Now that we're going to start working on our ace, dirt aces for Aquarius Cup. You'll be able to start just running those through the push through the event. Remember, you want to get all the way to that. Man, I went back too far. You want to run all the way to the 900,000 to get to that last rainbow shard, which I don't think anything's changed. I think it's still the 900,000 if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So just make sure to get to that 920. That's the biggest thing to hit. These are always going to be high priority. But that'll be it for now. And if you like my content, if you like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.